Welcome to Kol Emes Torah Minute. Today was Shabbos Chazon, it's Motzei Shabbos. And Shabbos Chazon, maybe it's a tradition by the tzaddikim, they teach at the time, you can have visions of what should be and what things will be like when the world is perfected and everything is fixed. The question is right now, why hasn't that happened yet? Why are we still in exile? Why were we put in exile to begin with? We have to know it's part of God's plan, but also to know more. And when we know what the root of things are, then we can fix it. So many people, they treat symptoms instead of the cause. And I think the same thing is with the situation of Galus and Geula. I asked someone, why is it that we're in Galus? They said, the Gemara says Sinas Chinam. We hated each other, we didn't get along for no reason. That's one reason, yeah. But I think that's also a symptom. I think the root we can find in this week's Parsha, what we read today. Moses was admonishing the people, telling over the story of what had happened many years earlier, and which we had read in the Parsha a few weeks ago, the story of the spies, Meraglim. And it said after they gave the whole report, it said the Holy Land is beautiful, it's wonderful, but there are giants there, we can't take it over. And what did the people say? It's because God hated us, because the Lord hated us, that's why He took us out of Egypt, to bring us here, to the desert. So I saw Tzaddik, Tzimei Zilberberg Shlita. I remember hearing him say, and I saw in his Sefer, it brings down, the whole source, that's the source of our galus, of our exile. Saying, because the Lord hates us, God hates us, that's it. God forbid, you can never say that. That's the whole reason why we're in galus, because we think that God hates us. But the fact is, God loves us. Baal Shem Tov teaches that God loves the most wicked person more than the greatest father ever loved his son in history. God loves even the most wicked person. So all the more so, people aren't so wicked. And we have to know God loves each and every one of you. God loves each and every one of us with a love that we can't imagine. And that's why things aren't the way they should be, because we think that God doesn't love us. And when we think about how much God loves us, and we remind ourselves of this, it becomes part of our thoughts. We bring the Geula. So Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement also, he taught that's why he said, there's a blessing that we say before we say Shema. Have a Rabbah, have a Solam. He said if we say that with all of our hearts, we'll bring Mashiach closer. Why? The same idea. This mistaken idea, and that it happened on Tisha B'Av, the story with the spies, this mistaken idea that God doesn't love us, God forbid. That was the seed, that was the root of all of our suffering all throughout the years, the whole history of our people, was this lie that the Satan told us, that God doesn't love us. The fact is God does love us. And we have to know that and think about it and meditate upon it. And I think that I realize that, there's so many people, they're treating the symptoms without again, like I said, they're treating the symptoms without treating the root. And even this very root of the sickness has caused the opposite. There are people who, they were impatient, they didn't believe enough in God. They said, let's take over the Holy Land on our own. And now we see we've had 60 years of terrorism and horrible things happening to Jewish people. So we weren't patient. We should live there, sure. And we should love the land with all of our hearts. But we have to be patient, wait for God till He decides it's the right time, then we'll go home. But it's more than that, it's just treating the symptoms. It's saying, well, God doesn't really love us anymore, so we have to take things into our own hands. That's the wrong approach. We have to know God does love us. We have to have faith in Him. He will take us back. He does care about us, each and every one of us, with a love we can't imagine, with a hashkacha we can't imagine, with a direct focus on each and every one of us that we can't imagine. We have to internalize that and remember it and live it. And that's what will cure it. That's what will make us love each other. And that's what will bring us back to the Holy Land, because it won't be us. God says He'll bring us back. I think this idea was brought out, it was in Chok Yisrael last week, Parshas Motzei on Tuesday. It's a Zohar from Parshas Shmos. Beautiful, beautiful story. And you can imagine what was things like after the first temple was destroyed. Can you imagine? Here were people, they saw the temple, they saw the prophets. They were close to God, and then now they have their hands tied behind their backs. They have big yokes on their shoulders, being brought to Babylon by the Babylonians, by idolaters. And the Zohar says at that point, people were like, can't be. They were so depressed. They were like, God must have abandoned us. He doesn't love us anymore. The same mistake that Satan, he is trying to make us think that God doesn't love us. And the people really thought that. And the Zohar says something very beautiful. At that moment, when all the people got so depressed and they thought God didn't love them anymore, God was up there in heaven. I mean, He's everywhere. But we understand what it means for the narrative. He told all of His angels, He's like, guys, what's going on here? My beloved people Israel, they're in exile in Babylon, suffering. What are you all doing here? Come with me. You should be there with them. And you know what? Go there and I'll come with you also. That's what it says, L'manchem shalachti bavela. There's a pasuk, there's a verse in the Bible, I think it's in Jeremiah, for your sake I was sent to Babylon. I came with you to Babylon. Yeah, I'm with you. God came there with us to Babylon. He didn't abandon us. Now there was a Jew, one of the greatest of that generation, the prophet Ezekiel, the Navi Cheskel ben Buzi. And he had some time off. He decided, I'm going to go to the mikveh. So he went to the river Kvar. And you know, we only have prophecy in the Holy Land. But the mikveh is like the Holy Land. So there he was in the mikveh, in the river, as it says in the first chapter of Ezekiel. And he saw the most amazing visions. God comes down, and the chariots, the Merkovas, the Ophanim, the Chayes HaKodesh, all of the, we read it on Shavuos, Ma'aser Merkava. The deepest, most secret, Kabbalistic part of the whole Bible. Perhaps. And why is he telling us these secrets now? This is the answer. See, imagine Ezekiel, he was like, he came out of the river, he had this tremendous vision, and he said, guys, what are you all depressed about? They were like, God abandoned us. He said, no, He didn't. He's here with us in Babylon. He brought all His angels with Him. I saw God, and He's here with us. And it's like, and the people were like, what are you talking about? Don't you see? We're tied up, and we have our hands tied behind our back, and big yokes on our shoulders, and our temple was destroyed. What do you mean God is with us? And he's like, no, I saw Him. He's here with all the angels, the Merkovas, everything. He told them all the details, everything what he saw. And they're like, he's telling the truth. God is with us. He is holding our hand. Then God didn't seem so bad. They were happy because they knew God was with them. And those 70 years in Babylon, they weren't so bad anymore. Because they knew God still loved them. Why? Because He tells secrets to someone you love. And I realized something when I saw that. that who was writing this, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, he lived after the second temple was destroyed. And so too, he was revealing the secrets of the Zohar. So we should know that he still loves us. God still loves us, still tells us secrets. And also too, after some difficult times in history, God has given us a little wink, a few secrets. I still love you, whisper in our ears, give us visions what things will be like. And He let us know that all of this is all part of His plan. We don't have to take things into our own hands. We got to wait for Him. And we return to Him and He'll return to us. And we ask Him to return to us, we'll return to you. And that's where we end off the Book of Lamentations, which we'll read on Monday night. Hashivenu Hashem elechem neshuva chadei shemenu kekevim. Lord, return to us and we'll return to you. Renew our days of old. Let us know that everything's fine. And we have to know, that's one thing we have to work on. Remember, God loves you. Think about it, meditate upon it. And you'll see, it'll bring redemption to your life. Good to know.